Meeting to order. It's a regular Slate Valley Board meeting on the 8th, 6:30 p.m. Let's rise and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, first looking for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I do have one change. I'd like to move number 11, contracts and resignations, to an item number that's below the executive session for personnel, as we will have a few details to discuss before approving those contracts. Anybody else have any?
There's something on there. There's a duplication. Number 12 doesn't need to be on there, but it is number 9.
Yes.
Thanks, Brooke. Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing nothing, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, looking for a motion to approve the minutes from April 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Any correction, discussion, questions on those minutes?
I think just, Tim, on the first page where it had who was here and who wasn't, there were a number of people who were listed as being absent who were here. I know that I was here, because I was making motions later on in the minutes. So if anybody else is listed as not being here that it was.
Right now.
I was on Zoom, does it matter? I was there, I was like on Zoom. I'm not marked as in attendance, but I was on Zoom the whole time.
That should be as,
Or like
You're in
me the whole
attendance.
time,
Yeah.
We're
okay.
in attendance if you're on Zoom.
How am I marked?
we're here.
I was not here, so that
Right.
needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was here and it's marked that I'm not here.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Are you jotting these down real time, Bonnie?
Got it.
You got it? Okay.
Hard to tell from the cameras at home.
Oh, yeah.
Can't see who's in here.
Right?
All right, Glenn, thank you. Any other changes, questions on the minutes? Hearing nothing further, all those in favor of approving with that one adjustment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public comment, looking around here in person, I don't see anyone from the public. And looking online, is there anyone from the public who has a comment? All right, seeing nothing, we'll move on from public comment. Correspondence, Brooke?
I don't have any.
No correspondence. Central office report was included in the packet. Does anyone have any questions for the administrators? I guess, Brooke, I had a question for you. You obviously speak of staffing.
Yep.
So I don't know if now is the best time, but I mean, is there just anything you want to add in plain speak about things you're seeing with staffing and any ideas you might have to better address staffing?
Yeah. So, so we do have a significant number of open positions for next year with no applicants. This is not unique to Slate Valley. This is happening in neighboring districts throughout the state and throughout the country. The staffing situation is probably worse for next year than it currently is now. For example, right now we have 0 applicants for the choral music position here at the high school. We have 0 applicants for many of our special education positions. We are struggling to find elementary positions, just to name a few. I mean, we're out there recruiting, kind of beating the pavement, talking to folks at Castleton University, having them recommend people. We're reaching out to other districts if they might have had a candidate that they didn't hire, if they did have applicants for a certain position. So we're really trying everything we can, but the fact of the matter is the vast majority of the individuals that are leaving teaching and education are just leaving the field altogether. They're not going and seeking other jobs at neighboring districts. We have a couple that have, but most of them have not. They're leaving the field. So, and that's what we're seeing across the board. So I think, you know, I'm going to be meeting with the administrative team next week. We're going to talk about staff openings and if there's other things that we can do in the district, because there are certain positions we're going to need to fill before we fill other positions. So it may be certain programs don't run in the district that we were used to. But I think long term, this situation is not going to get better immediately. It's probably going to get worse. So I think we need to think about, do we look at different options for further consolidation? Do we, you know, what does it look like? Because we cannot operate the current configuration with the staffing that we have, or the lack of staffing. So there are some things that we'll definitely need to think about. I mean, principals and I were talking the other day. I mean, we used to have 12 years ago when I first started in this district, 100 applicants for one job. Now 0 applicants for some of those same positions. So.
And I would just add, I mean, it's not part of my board report, but it's part of a job description that you'll see later tonight. The level of support we have to put in place to be able to support our newest educators. A number of them are not coming to us with prior experience teaching. And so often they're not familiar with the programs that we have in place. And so it puts a huge stress on the system, one, not having applicants, but then also being able to support teachers. I mean, there's a lot of research about surviving your first 3 years of teaching to see if that's really going to allow you to see yourself through the profession. And we invest a lot and have built programming to try to support our newest teachers in hopes that they choose the profession. But it is something I think to really consider about not only filling a position, but then when we do hire, how it is we're able to support so that students ultimately get the best experience that they can.
And I think to pile on to that or piggyback on what Casey is saying, you know, I spoke about at the beginning of the year how about 1/5 of our teaching staff is not licensed. They're on temporary or emergency licenses. We're seeing that number increasing for next year. Many of the staff need additional support to even get those licenses within the 2 years time frame that their temporary license allows, and they're really struggling to pass the exams. Again, this isn't like an issue for Slate Valley, it's an issue for all districts. So,
and we have a mentoring program to help support those teachers within their first 2 years. We have some criteria for being a mentor, and we're running out of folks that qualify for the criteria of mentors because they don't have the years of experience. So when you're replacing 50% of the staff and you don't have veteran staff to be able to mentor them, we're having to rely on, like I'm using my special ed instructional coach to do mentoring of new special educators because I don't have enough veteran special educators to assign as mentors.
What would your coach normally do?
She would be working on more instructional programming to teach them specifically on programs to use with students, but she's having to do really basic instruction on how to support them in writing an IEP, how to write appropriate goals and objectives, how to work through the actual software system to be able to generate the IEP. So a lot of hands-on support of a lot of hours. Doing that mentoring and hands-on support for them.
And also because we don't have the number of staff that we need to have to be fully staffed. We have teachers that are, you know, giving up planning time to teach additional classes, those types of things. Those are all added, you know, to the overall stress in the system. So, and we're really grateful for their willingness to do that, but it does take away from other things. So, you know, it is a struggle. We are trying to be as inventive, as possible. You know, over the last 6 years, we've reduced 30 some odd positions in this district as well. So, I mean, we definitely are responding to the needs, but it's tough. We can't even fill the ones that we have. I know many of you probably have in your inbox, if you haven't seen it already, an invitation to the ice cream social for new staff. I think we have 63 new staff this year that have started at the beginning of the year and are still with us. So we have 63 folks invited to that. That's a huge percentage of our overall staff to have 63 first-year staff members in the district. So, so it does put a burden on the system, you know, business office, onboarding folks, you know, principals, working with those new teachers. So, you know, I don't have a lot of solutions for it right now because it's a problem that's bigger than us. But it is something we are going to have to get even more creative to solve.
And what do you feel, is Montpelier addressing this issue at all at a higher level statewide? I didn't see anything in this legislative session that addressed directly teacher retention and recruitment.
No.
Teacher education, right now, you can get a nursing degree for free in the state of Vermont. You can get an early childhood education for free in the state of Vermont, because those are critical positions that are in need. So the legislature has put money aside to do that, but they have not included teaching in that.
And I think the state is looking.
No, that is, if you want to be a nurse and you're accepted to Castleton, VTC, or UVM, and you apply to VSAC nursing grant, you go for free, even if you're out of state.
Yeah, I mean, the licensing, in terms of teacher licensing, they're way more lenient on who they will license to be a classroom teacher. But that's, you know, that also comes with issues as well, right? So it's challenging. I think it's going to force further consolidation. Also, when you talk about the state of many of our buildings in the state of Vermont as well, coupled with staff shortages. It's not sustainable, and the cost of education. So I think it's all kind of a perfect storm. But I'm not sure what the plan is to address it statewide.
Brooke, we tried, was it last year that we tried sign-on bonuses? And that didn't yield anything.
A couple, maybe that, you know, we're deciding between two districts and we had one and somebody else didn't. So it was a little helpful. What I'm going to be proposing tonight, further down in the agenda, is a retention bonus for special educators and speech language pathologists. You know, to keep them in the positions in our district, because those are federally mandated positions. I mean, we have laws that we have to meet and make sure that we have people in those positions. And right now, it's looking pretty bleak.
7 openings between special ed, speech, and one school-based clinician position.
Yep.
What's the union reaction to bonuses in general? Have you
So
union or?
this retention bonus for special educators, I have been working with the union on that. Josh Martin, who's the union president, is on the call tonight, and he did sign off on a side letter around that. So if the board approves it tonight, the union would be supportive of that.
Well, if the federal government requires those positions, then, you know, I would think that would carry the day, but maybe other signing bonuses they might not agree to. Or
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to speak for Josh. I haven't had that detailed a conversation with him regarding that.
But you are talking to them.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, constantly.
And I would just add that frequently in June or July, we have not an onslaught, but we typically lose one or two folks a year with regard to positions that open in New York State that aren't advertised usually until June. And so unequivocally, all the districts around us also have openings. I would anticipate that when New York approves their budgets and starts with their postings, there'll be a lot more ads that continue to go out for educators and special educators. And so the need is going to become even more vast.
And you think we could compete with bonuses, or?
I think that a
It's hard to compete with
retention,
New York.
well, and our starting salaries are pretty good for young folks
Now
coming out. I think
they
they're pretty comparable. I'm hoping that maybe we can retain the folks that we do have so that we can continue to build their skills and they can continue to serve our students in our district, so that it's not we build them up with the skills and then they head out the door. Do you know what I mean? That we might be able to retain some of those that, they've invested time in us, but we've also invested a lot of time and resources in them. And I'd like to be able to try to retain those folks so that we're not, giving up 50% of the staff again next year. And this hopefully would be one way to do it.
But staff shortages, I mean, it's being predicted to last 10 years or more.
7,150 according to McClure
So
10 years teachers.
I don't see this getting better,
Yep.
given the societal issues and the political state of things around education.
If I can call on Josh Martin, are you present, Josh?
Yeah, I'm here, Tim. Hi. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just wanted to give you the chance to speak and maybe hear from your perspective, how the teachers union is working with the state to address the staffing crisis, and what are some of the obstacles and challenges that you're hearing from your group of teachers that are causing them to rethink their decision to get into education.
Sure. I can't really speak for what the state is doing. That'd be a question more for my unit serve director. And frankly, I really haven't had time right now in my life to delve into that part. But I do know that, I don't know, I think Brooke said it, there's like a political divide in the community. There's distrust in education. The amount of work that we have to do as teachers just seems to be increasing, especially with the mental health load of kids that we're seeing. And, frankly, at the end of the day, we're usually always tired, but, this year, especially with all of the behaviors that we've been seeing, it's an extra level of frustration. So I think that's one reason that folks are leaving. This is kind of an aside, but my wife has been looking to get into teaching high school, and she called Castleton University today to talk about their teacher prep program, and the woman she talked to really was dissuading her from joining the teaching course. And so it just kind of blew my mind, especially in a time when we really need teachers. So I don't know if that's a conversation that I don't know who can have with Castleton, but trying to come up with a different tone to potential teachers, because we need bodies and we need good people for all of these kids that we serve.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So of course.
How do you think your teachers would react to some other teachers getting bonuses?
I brought this side letter to my exec board last week, and there was a pretty lively debate. But I think in the end, I think we all have to work together to fill, especially these special ed teacher roles. I mean, ultimately, if we don't have these positions, it hurts kids. And so, I'm always thinking kid first. Of course, I represent teachers as well. But, it's also, you can also think of it as any new money in any of our members' pockets is a good thing. So, we agreed to go ahead with this, and, if anybody's upset with it, they can obviously contact me and I can explain our rationale. But I usually try to approach these things in a problem-solving manner. How can I work with Brooke to make things work for the benefit of all of us? So it's kind of where I am at that in terms of leading the union.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can I just interject one thing? I just happen to know personally, as I'm sure many of you know, without some kind of childcare to help our teachers, our younger teachers, they can't afford to go to work. I mean, my situation, but I've known a number of teachers who've talked about that. And they're licensed teachers who, why would I go to work if I end up with a paycheck that's $50 after 2 weeks? I mean, that's ridiculous, right? And I think that's something, after paying for daycare. And of course, the benefits are coming out and everything, but I'm saying at the end of the day, my daughter would have been making a paycheck after 2 weeks of not in this district, in a different district, but of $50. So why would you do that to yourself?
Well, and I think coupled with that, we do have teachers that have resigned because they don't have childcare next year, because they have been unable to secure it. So I think that's also a factor.
I mean, I will say that years ago, and it was a long time ago, but they used to have some like lab schools that Castleton was affiliated with, and they would have a pre-K situation. I don't remember exactly. I don't want to talk to it because I was a young person at the time, but you probably remember, Chris. But they had a childcare setup, like a daycare setup, so that teachers could bring their kiddos, their little ones, to that daycare. And it's,
Just 4 teachers are open to the public.
I think it was a teacher. I think it was, I don't really remember. I don't want to say because I truly don't remember. I just know that there was a teacher at Castleton who brought her child there at the time. I didn't have kids at the time, so.
So there's a lot of needs out there, huh? We need people to teach at the college level to become a teacher. We need people to provide daycare so people can enter the workforce.
That's right.
We need more teachers. We got kids that have higher needs.
We also need housing.
Oh, yeah, that's housing.
And that's the other thing.
In this area, you can't find an apartment.
We lost 2 teachers in Rutland because they couldn't find housing.
Correct.
They had said they'd take a job, and when push came to shove, it, they tried to find a house. They couldn't find one.
Okay, well, we're in the midst of the central office report. There was a good discussion on staffing, but it's something we need to consider seriously. And I guess we rely on you to kind of help us understand the severity and the immediate needs to make these decisions.
Yep, absolutely.
And then I would expect a future plan for as we get closer to the year of what might need to happen to shift too. Right?
We've been doing that already.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Well, just trying to think out of the box. Does something like a team teaching come into play? I mean, I know in the veterinary world, especially in the small animal side, it's gotten to the point because of childcare where they're hiring 3 people to do one job and they're sharing it. So they're each 0.33 and because that's the only way it's going to work to get the work done.
Those are all things that are on the table that we're going to discuss as an administrative team next week and try to brainstorm some ideas. Also thinking, if we have right now 4 classes, like 2 3rd grades, 2 4th grades in a building, and we don't have 4 elementary teachers, we only have 3. Is there a way to kind of team them in a, create kind of a 3-4 with 3 teachers? I mean, those are all types of things that we're examining and putting on the table. It's just there's no easy answers. Based on our class sizes in the elementary schools, there is no way we can combine any more. There's no more combinations to be had. So because we've looked at all of that too. So you know, when we talk about music, I mean, obviously the high school, middle school and high school is probably a more critical role to fill than elementary. I mean, so there might be some things we have to shift around. And so those are all things that we're gonna be looking at and are gonna be on the table, and it's not gonna be easy.
I mean, I was thinking of like where you had maybe two people would share one classroom and they'd have, you know, person A would teach Monday and Tuesday and person B would teach Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or.
Yep.
They've done that before. Job shares used to be pretty common. That's
Yeah.
what they call it. Not team teaching, they call it job share, but.
But I mean, anything like that as far as to get around
Yeah.
the whole childcare piece.
We have a list of all the folks that have retired in the last 5 years, reaching out to them, asking them if they want to come back even 50%. And, you know, we can go back further than 5 years, but like trying to like entice folks to come back at least part-time. So we have generated that list in the last week, and so that's something we'll be talking about as well. Unfortunately, some of our folks have not kept their license up, but we can probably work around that. But yeah, so we're trying to be as creative as possible. It's just it's tougher this year than it has, or going into next year than it has been. And of course, we're still struggle with substitutes.
And we've been very fortunate that many of our retirees have come back to do
Yes.
long-term subs for us or to do subbing for us in various capacities. So we're thankful for that for sure.
Alrighty, so we'll move on from staffing for now. Is there any other questions for the administrative team on the contents of the central office report? All right, thanks guys for putting that together. Committees, the finance committee met beforehand. I'll turn it over to Glenn, the chair.
Okay, so tonight was more of a kind of an FYI session. So we had a discussion about the food service RFP, and more on that will come later in our agenda. But it was kind of bringing us up to speed with action by the board at our next meeting. Cheryl updated us on a tax anticipation line of credit that we have done in the last couple of years. Previously, due to larger budget surpluses, we haven't had to access that, but it's been in place in case we did. As the board has been trying to get the budget kind of in line with what our real true expenses are, and we're back going full-time, those budget surpluses are getting smaller. So there is a possibility that we will need to access that. So stuff is being drawn up, and that will also come as at a future meeting. But what is out there right now, we're looking at potentially a $2 million line of credit for 1 year with an interest rate of 4.5%. So I think, at least for the time being, those rates of 2%.
That's the current rate now.
That's current.
I don't know what the rate.
You know, in the past, we've had interest rates in like the 2% range. Those days are gone for the near future, I think. And we just barely touched a little bit on kind of the end of the year, fiscal year 23 budget report. Looks like we're going to be able to cover everything, not end up in the red. So, but as final purchase orders and everything come in, we'll know more later, but I think we're in pretty good shape from the numbers that Cheryl has. And then with that being said, we need to pay some bills. So I would make a motion to approve bills in the amount of $1,847,231.22.
So moved.
Second.
No, I was supposed to second. He made the motion.
I motioned it, you seconded it.
Is there any discussion on the accounts payable bills? And payroll? Hearing nothing further, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, I make a motion to approve capital reserve expenses in the amount of $74,369.26.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve food service expenses in the amount of $70,141.98.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve grant expenses in the amount of $49,162.82.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on grants? Hearing nothing, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve high school student activity expenses in the amount of $28,619.13.
Second.
Questions or discussion? High school student activity? Hearing nothing, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. And I'll make a motion to approve elementary student activity expenses in the amount of $3,062.49.
Second.
Any questions on elementary student activity? Hearing nothing, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any other questions for Glenn and the Finance Committee? And as Glenn mentioned, we'll talk about the food service contract in a couple minutes. Alrighty, next we are going on to updating and approving some job descriptions. Looks like there was 3: PBL Coach, School-Based Clinician, and School Nurse Leader.
Yep, so every so often, we go through our job descriptions. These are all existing positions that we currently have. And we review them and update them. So, proficiency-based learning coach, I mean, I think honestly, in all of these, the changes have to do with supervision and evaluation. I think those were the changes in all 3 of them. So, job descriptions. So, otherwise, they're relatively
What about the
same.
common sense provision? Is that
Oh, I don't know if we added.
I didn't add that to mine.
You didn't have the common sense provision?
I'm the supervisor, so I didn't add that.
No,
Got to get into that listing at the end.
yes,
Just
I think
have
we
on
missed
every
that.
single one. Yeah.
You can certainly approve them with that provision added and we can update them.
Can put that under definitions.
Yes.
All right, so we need a motion to approve those updated job descriptions.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions or further discussion on those job descriptions? I guess just for you, Brooke, the school nurse leader does not include any expansion of those roles?
So the school nurse leader, and currently that's Deb Williams in our district. She will be doing more with supervision evaluation of the school nurses in conjunction with the principals. She was not previously responsible for that.
Is that a stipended position or is it a standalone position?
Stipended in addition to her
Being a nurse.
regular school nurse duties. Yep.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Hearing nothing, all those in favor of approving those job descriptions, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, as we touched on earlier, Brooke has proposed or reached a tentative side agreement regarding a retention bonus for special educators and speech and language pathologists. So I'll just let you refresh our understanding on that.
Yep, so this is actually for all of our existing folks in these positions, as well as anybody that we would hire into the position as long as they remain the entire school year next year. So we're offering a grant of $5,000. The first half would be on the first payroll of the year, and then the second half would not be payable till June 30th of 2024. This is similar to what we did with the hiring bonuses for COVID. It's very similar language, except we didn't offer retention bonuses at that time. And so also what we're hoping to do is we have some folks that are wanting to leave special education positions and take other positions in the district. We're actually hoping that this may entice them to stay in the special education positions. Not that we don't want to support them in taking other positions in the district, but we just have a really critical need in those special education positions.
So this would be for people who are licensed special educators?
Correct.
What was it?
Yes.
Yes,
So it's for, it would be starting for next school year?
next school year, right?
So, would it continue, so you said, so any new hires we had for this upcoming school year would get it?
Yes.
How, are we gonna continue it for the next year too?
Oh, I don't know. We haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
We're hoping to have an influx after next year.
Well, I was just wondering, cause you said it's retention.
Want to keep all the ones that we get.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the idea of doing it as a side letter is we're gonna kind of take it as it comes and see how we need to adjust to needs.
Well, I was just trying to figure out how to get them to stay another year.
Oh, I know.
You know,
Those are all things that
thinking, though.
those are all things that we're gonna have to really carefully consider.
So if they accept a similar role at another school in the district, they still get the bonus?
So all
Well-
special educators are hired as Slate Valley employees, and then they're assigned out to the individual schools.
So they work for the district anyway.
So they would get their bonus?
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep, they would
yeah.
Doesn't
Yep,
matter
being
which building.
retained as an
Doesn't
employee
matter
at
their
Slate Valley.
assignment,
Correct.
just their building
Yep,
assignment.
as long as they're
doesn't matter.
assigned within Slate Valley to a special ed position. Yep.
And to Peter's point, this is a new hire and kind of retention type program.
Correct.
So the first pay period of the new school year is what, sometime in mid to late August?
Yeah.
So they would get a
it's
$2,500 payment before really actually doing a direct work with the students.
Yep,
And Patty brought up a point, if you have a provisional license, you're still okay to participate in this program.
correct.
But if they wanted to, okay, I'm sorry, if they wanted to leave special ed,
Yes,
stay in the district, say become an administrator or something else,
they do not
They
get
would
it.
not.
they would
Not
forfeit the
get
bonus.
Yes,
And if they got the first half, they would have to pay it back if they left that position, right?
correct. It would be on a prorated basis, but yes. Yep,
And in order to get the second 2,500 payment at the end of the
You've
year, they
gotta-
have to, stay for the year and remain in good standing as an employee.
yep. I mean, you can't be terminated or recommended for non-renewal or any of those things.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve this,
I'll make a motion to approve the retention bonus for special education and speech pathologist.
Second.
any further questions, discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Does anyone oppose? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Problem goes away.
I hope, fingers crossed, it'll at least to help to solve it.
Get a little better anyway,
That's right.
maybe.
Thank you for your support.
All right, so food service contract, I guess I'll just turn it over to Cheryl or Glenn to just give a quick summary on, actually, do we need a summary? It was a long discussion.
And I
No.
put a lot of it in my central office
You did,
report.
yeah.
I explained the process that the committee, our process and the number of meetings. Christina is one of our committee members. And so as a result of all that work, we would like to recommend the Abbey Group be approved for our food service management company.
Want me to read the motion?
Sure.
Make a motion to award the contract for food service management company to Abbey Group for the 2023-2024 school year, contingent upon final approval by the Agency of Education Child Nutrition Program of submission to.
And there's another
Second.
Should I
paragraph.
say that other part?
You don't have to.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so does anyone have any questions, discussion, concerns about the motion for food service?
Briefly, why did you come up with Abbey Group? I read some of it, but not all of it. I don't know if it's all in there.
It was based on the scoring. Overall, Abbey Group scored higher. There's criteria, there's about 10 criteria that all the RFPs are scored on. They overall scored higher. And so they're scored based on price, meal and menu quality, the breakfast program, school nutrition staff benefits, a la carte offerings, documentation, keeping, participation, local procurement, fiscal strength and stability, and references.
Did everybody get this printed motion that we got?
No, that went to the finance.
That was just to us, okay.
We just wrapped up on Friday afternoon.
So this is a one-year contract, and then there are 4 additional one-year renewals. So if things go south in year 1, we have the option to do the process again.
Right, you can always go out to do another RFP, but as the committee participants can attest to, it's a long process. I mean, from when I start working with the AOE in terms of putting together the RFP, because they have to approve the RFP, it's probably easily a 3-month process, and that's probably on the fast side. So you need to know pretty quickly if things are not going well. But it is a 1-year contract. It has 4 one-year renewals. I bring that to the board each year, to renew the contract. And the price per meal increases based on the CPI for food purchases. It's an amount provided to us by the Agency of Education.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing nothing further, all those in favor of approving the contract for Abbey Group for the 23-24 school year, please say aye.
Aye.
Does anyone oppose? All right, well, thanks to the committee and Cheryl for all the work that they put in to do their due diligence.
It was a really great committee to work on. Everybody was really thoughtful about what they did, their work on it. So I appreciated that.
All right, so as noted, I'm going to move the contracts and resignations to after the executive session, which brings us to other business. Does anyone have any other business?
So I have an ask for the future, not particularly next meeting, but obviously graduation's coming around,
And what is the date on that?
16th of June.
Friday?
Yep. And every year VSAC does their annual survey that they do for students, which gives us some information about where our students stand and kind of what their things are. There was one year where they made the kids with iPads do the quiz before they picked up their cap and gown, and we had the best results that we had versus any other year.
Made them do it as they were doing the
Yeah.
lining up
Correct.
graduation
Practice and
practices.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just-
I was in there.
Yes, so I just want to put that out there to just kind of organize that again, because I think if you have the kids do it right then and there, you just get good results. You can't light up until you do your quiz. And
How
I
long does the
didn't,
quiz take again?
it doesn't take very long, and it's actually a little too general for my liking, but whatever. It gives us good information. It gives us some information. So definitely just wanted to kind of remind people about that. And then obviously we'll get kind of a feedback on that. But they might want to think about piggybacking that quiz with their own little survey. Google Forms is so quick and easy, and a 2 or 3 question survey, kids will not balk at, to maybe garner one step further than VSAC goes. Because VSAC goes with intention, not whether they are or are not. They ask, what are your, aspirations? They ask for aspirations, not have you deposited, or do you have a plan, or, kind of where's your job going to be, this area, out of the area. So they don't dig any deeper. They just ask for aspirations. So just a thought to maybe piggyback a little quiz and force some answers before they get to do what they're
Who would
supposed to.
initiate that?
Guidance. The guidance department, because they're the ones that would have them do, they would be the ones that VSAC would ask to garner those results from VSAC.
Okay.
So, that's it.
Other business? I just wanted to acknowledge Teacher Appreciation Week and thank the teachers for all their hard work this year, years past, and in years to come. I understand there's some goodies and recognitions that have been happening in various schools, so thanks again to all the teachers. And if there's no further business, we'll move off this point and go on to our executive session for personnel. There will be action at the conclusion. And who's invited to stay? Just you?
Yeah. I mean, the administration can stay too, if it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Look at him.
No, you don't have to.
Central office or building administration?
I was gonna say, yeah, no, all of you. You can stay. Yeah.
Make a motion, we can go into executive session on education.
Whoever would like best.
Put out the door.
I'm not gonna be the only one.
My car.
Patrick was ready to go.
The car was running.
He'll figure out.
Vote
All
on.
right, so I think Peter made a motion. Is there a second?
Second, sorry.
All those in favor of going into executive session for personnel, please say aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
So funny. All right. So,
Hold on, pause.
What?
Hold on.
There's like new links and there's doors and you reset here.
Should be all set now.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to accept contracts for 2023, 2024. Year Carrie Stevens, special education teacher, $48,912. Caitlin Saunders, math teacher, $50,142. Jeremy Vanderkern, design instructor, $68,118. Jessica Penwarden, social emotional interventionist, $55,722. Laura Daly, additional
So,
30.3.
so she was reduced
Oh,
this year, and now
so we'll be full. We'll be a one
full-time.
FTE
With that salary.
Right.
with this salary for the next year.
yes.
Okay, at $61,401. Antoinette McCormick, nurse, $54,400. Michelle Beaulieu, below, really? Oosh. School psychologist, $68,000. Ned Bewig, English teacher, $53,359.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I just got, where's the math teacher for?
Middle school or high school.
It's the high
7 through
school,
12.
Tony Christensen, who retired, or will be retiring.
I was just wondering, because my daughter was noted, her math teacher had been out a little bit. And she was wondering that she was getting done. He was getting done.
Oh, I don't know.
Because the, Miss Volpe got done, so they were
Oh, no,
worried that
not
other
that
people were getting
not that
done.
I'm aware of.
Is Ned DeWig replacing Miss Marcy?
Yeah.
Nope, Michelle Egan, because Michelle Egan is replacing Lindsay Marcy.
Gotcha.
We've had a lot of internal shuffling going on.
Then, of course, Carrie Stevens would be eligible for the plus 5,000.
Correct.
All right, any other questions? Hearing nothing. All those in favor of approving the contracts for 23-4, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I make a motion to accept resignations for the 22-23 school year. Jetta Loomis, nurse. Anna Daly, social emotional interventionist. Kathy Clark, PE teacher. Suzanne Carpenter, special education teacher. Jessica
Sturdivant.
thank you, Sturdivant, elementary school teacher, Nicole Montana, school psychologist.
Second.
Questions or discussion on resignations? We're all at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one question,
Sure.
just out of curiosity. Would Suzanne Carpenter be eligible for that if she stayed?
If she
She
stayed,
opted to stay and revoked her.
resignation. We can certainly have that conversation.
Hearing no further questions or discussion, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, brought to my attention that we do need another executive session for legal update. And we go home now. This would just.
they could stay.
You're getting out of
here tonight.
Hey,
You get to stay.
they don't know about it yet?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive
Whatever,
session
it's
with.
the-
With everybody.
group together.
All right, it'll take
Sit down.
Just real quick, Janice text me.
Patrick, you heard of it. You get to hear it.
Vehicle with family.
She said you guys don't know about it yet.
All right, thanks. Motion to make,
Still on.
we still need the.
What about being safe while operating a motor vehicle?
Well, I don't think
Does
she's
that play into
driving.
her
I don't think
concern?
she's driving. Yeah, she's a passenger, but.
All right,
All right, so is there a motion?
Second. Yeah, I think we, yeah.
I made a motion.
Yep.
All right.
Seconded.
are we good?
All those in favor of going into executive
Third time
session
we've
for
all
legal,
said.
please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then our audience is good.
Next time I will have. Right.
Shut up.
Right. You can't.
You don't know who we are.
You don't know who we are
right.
now.
Ready.
Okay, we're back in open session.
So just, I'd like to make a motion to join the class action suit against Monsanto.
Second.
I'd like to be on record, making a motion to table the motion.
It's already a motion.
So we get more input from Peter Lynn.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, so we'll act upon that first, and then once you can then make another motion after that. So there's a motion and a second to join the class action lawsuit. Is there any discussion specific to that motion?
Point of order, wouldn't a motion to table take precedence over the original motion?
I don't know.
I don't believe so. I think if people's intent was to table or to not join, they would simply vote no within this motion. And that motion would be, obviously, it would not carry. And then there could be a motion from one of those dissenters to table it or take no action. So I'm going to call the question.
Can I would suggest that we put for the purpose of PCB removal.
Yep.
You know, in the,
Is that what the lawsuit
PCB
states?
can
If we're
or
assuming
however,
that?
whatever it states, because there
Okay.
could be multiple Monsanto lawsuits. Do you know what I'm saying? So
I
I
hear
think it should be just a little.
So the
more
class
specific.
action lawsuit
With regard to.
that
Concerning PCB.
concerning PCBs against
Contamination.
contamination against
Yep.
Monsanto. Okay.
Peter, you second that?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay. All those in favor of joining the class action lawsuit, please say aye.
Aye.
And let's just do a quick roll call here, so Bonnie can take these down. Raise your hand if you're saying yay to join.
I think she wants the nays because it's
You want the nays or the yays?
less.
I think Karina and Becca were yeses.
Clarify that with Becca.
I'm right there with you.
What did you both, sorry, I had you muted.
Aye for both of us.
What are they on?
Okay.
Not,
All right, is
not
there
your
anyone
link.
who votes nay against joining the class action lawsuit?
Me.
You made the motion. You seconded the motion.
He can change his mind.
Doesn't matter.
Wanted to vote,
Moving.
get it over with.
Okay, that motion carries.
Good luck, Bonnie.
It's okay. We'll correct the minutes.
You know who the no is, and that's all that's important.
All right, so I think we've reached the end. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. And everybody can
Second.
turn.
Second.
Favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No, wait.